everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I have a special guest, my husband Corey. We are both DIYers, and in most of the projects that I do, he usually helps me. He's just never in front of the camera. But today I convinced him to go in front of the camera to help me build a platform that we can use for our videos, right? So this is probably going to be a temporary solution. As we grow, hopefully we'll end up with a real backdrop inside the house at some point, but for now this will work. So tell him what the problem was.
The problem was the ground that we were resting the furniture on was not sustainable. It was angled and lumpy, and we tried laying some fence pickets on the ground to kind of cover up the off-colored grass and the weeds.
And also to mimic hardwood floor, because once you edit the pictures you can't really see any of that. We just need a level surface, right?
Yes. We just needed a level surface.
So
I cooked one up in my noggin, and I'm about to show it to you right now.
right now. So, one of the things that we needed is that we needed it to be low cost, and so we happen to have a lot of fence pickets because we build a lot of things out of fence pickets. We also are serial upcyclers, so if we can make something out of the scraps of wood or anything that we have, that's what we like to do. Saves us money, but also we kind of help reduce the waste. We like redoing things, reusing things. That is why we started this channel. So you guys stay tuned, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. See you at the end.
Okay, bye.
We've been trying to do a photo shoot, and we need a solid surface to take the pictures. And we've been laying fence pickets on the ground, and it's very uneven, and that just won't do. And so we gotta rectify this situation. So today we're gonna be building a little platform so that we can start taking level pictures on, and I'll show you how to do that. So the tools I'm going to be using is my speed square, tape measure. I have 16 gauge 1.25" finishing nails. This might be a little long for today's project, but that's what I got, so that's what I'm going to use. I have a pair of pliers to pull out the nails that I miss, because we don't want that. I got my 16 gauge finish nailer. And I also have my trusty circular saw. If this looks kind of different, it's because it's a left-handed saw. I am right-handed, but I use the left-handed saw so I can actually see the blade, and I'm kind of cheating a little bit when I make my cuts. So don't tell anybody. Oh, and also fence pickets. I have a surplus of old fence pickets. I literally just drive around my neighborhood and look for people changing out their fences. And then I stop by and ask if I can have some of their old ones that they're taking down. And most of the time they say yes, because nobody wants to haul it away and pay more money to have trash thrown away. So I typically go for cedar pickets, because when they're on the fence they tend not to twist and crack and just become deformed in the weather. So cedar pickets, and they weather great. I mean, look at that. Like, you can't beat that. There's absolutely nothing on here except dirt and sunshine. It's sun bleached, and it looks great, and it's the perfect weathered look. If all you can find is pine, then that's fine too. You just have to make do with what you got. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get the length measurement for the base of my base. And I actually have already cut these to length. I've made them 6 foot, because the pickets uncut right now are 7 foot. That's the way I found them. And so I actually want them to overhang a little bit, so it gives the appearance of a bigger platform than what we're actually going to have. So we're going to have a 6 foot long platform, but it's going to overhang probably, I don't know, 2 inches on each side, maybe a little more, a little less. We'll kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. So I actually have my 2 6-foot fence pickets. I'm gonna double check those measurements. Good. Now we gotta decide how wide we want it. we're gonna say 35 inches. So we want a 35-inch width. Actually, we want it a little shorter than that. Oh, forgot my pencil. Okay, I got my pencil. So to remember my measurements, I'm just gonna write it down on one of them. We want 35 inches. And that way, I can forget it all day long, and I just look back and it's right there. So 35 inches is gonna be our width. We actually want these a little bit smaller. So we take into account the thickness of the picket, which is a 1/2 inch. And we're gonna have 2 of them, so it's gonna be a full inch. So 34 inches, we want a little bit less than that. We're probably gonna be looking at 32-inch width, all in all. Here's your speed square. See all this dead stuff? We're gonna cut this right off first. That's how we're gonna get our square edge. So what do we say, 32? 32 here. So now that you got your 32 inches, these are going to be your side pieces, your width pieces. I'm going to cut 4 of these because I'm going to have 2 on the outside and 2 in the middle. And actually, after completion of this project, I realized that I probably could have cut 2 more for a total of 6 to give it even more stability. But I cut the first one at 32 inches, and then I used that as my template so I didn't have to measure every time. Just saves you a little bit of time. So, alright, so I got my 4 support pieces, cross braces in the middle. So now I'm going to try and assemble the sides. I realize I can't do it laying down. So now I've rested the side piece, the cross brace, on the ground, and I put the 6-foot board on top of it. And so I'm trying to make a perfect right angle. You can also use your speed square in the middle of those to get a more true angle. Taking my 16 gauge nailer and yeah, just make sure you watch your fingers, and those things like to curl, so don't hold it too close, but you want to apply enough pressure to where you get a good bond. And now the side pickets were bowing out a little too far, so I used one just to support the other end while I could square up that side. So that's what you just saw there. And now my platform is bigger than my sawhorses, so I had to make another brace for it to sit on, which is actually easier. It gave me a bigger working surface. I didn't measure the cross braces on the inside because I wasn't really too concerned about it. You know, we're not going to be hosting dance parties on it. It's just really going to be sitting furniture down. So you can just kind of eyeball it, whatever is an equal distance to you. And I'm checking these diagonal measurements just to make sure that my platform is still square. You hook your tape measure onto one side, and then you run it diagonally to your opposite end. And you do that on both sides, and if the measurements are the same, then you know that your project is still square. And on these 7-foot pickets that I have, I ended up having about 4-inch hangover on each side of the box. And then on the front, I did an overhang of 2 inches. That may be a little excessive for you. You can trim it down if you like. But it gives us a bigger working surface when we decide to take pictures. And now it's just nail city. Take your time. Make sure you got contact with all of your structure. If you're going to do something like this at home, your work would be cut probably in half if you had a miter saw. I didn't want to set all that up, so I just did it with my circular saw, but it would probably take you even less time.
How long did it take you total to finish this project?
I don't know, maybe an hour or 2.
If the moon ignored the sun, then I'd take
Yep.
Good job, high five.
It's flat.
You can see the back arch that we used to hang the blanket, and then you can see the final edited picture. I think it came out great, so it works. Alright guys, that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we hope you figure out or give you some ideas of something that you can do on a budget. Just think outside the box and try and work with what you have. That's what we did, and it ended up being a free and easy solution, right?
Very.
So, would you have done something different?
I would have used the miter saw, babe.
The miter saw? Why?
I would use the miter saw because the circular saw just it took a lot of cuts, whereas the miter saw I could have set up a jig and, you know, cut them all without measuring them.
Right. Speaking of saws, if you're doing this, if you happen to run across some fence pickets and you want to do something like this, but you don't have all of those tools, that's perfectly fine. We have accumulated those tools over time. That's not something that you would just go and buy for this project. So you can probably do it with hand tools. You would need, what, a regular saw? What kind of saw?
Yeah, this is one of those old-timey hand saws that your grandpa has in his garage.
Yeah, the ones that you go...
Yeah. Yeah, the ones where you actually sweat while you're using them.
But you could save yourself some cuts if you don't cut the edges. You know how he took all that rotted part from the fence pickets? If you don't cut those edges, because usually you're gonna crop that from the picture anyway, you can save yourself some cuts. So that way all you would have to do is cut the frame, so the 4 pieces, cross braces, right? And then the long pieces that go on either side, and that is it. That will be all the cuts that you have to do. So that will be fairly simple, and then you would just nail what would you use to nail it if you weren't using a nail gun?
Well, you could use staples, really long staples if you had that. Like,
I guess you would take into account how thick your fence pickets are, and then get staples that are longer than that, so that they stay, you know, so that they grab onto the other piece of fence picket. So that is it for today, guys. Like I said, this is a temporary solution. Hopefully we will be able to build something better in the long run, but for now this will do. If you want to see more DIY, we build a lot of things, and we are furniture painters, and we are also in the process of redecorating our house, or trying to make it more, what would I say, like homely,
less bachelory.
Less bachelory. We've been living here for 5 years, but you know, we always postpone things for one day, and I have decided that I'm gonna live in the house that my future self would want to live in, but I'm gonna start working towards that goal now. So we will have a lot more DIY projects coming up, a lot of home decor, and how we upgrade some of our current furniture and home decor so that we can reuse the same things that we have.
And we have sick farmer's tans.
We had Kitty with us earlier today, but he is just laying down there because I guess we weren't entertaining enough for him. Hopefully we are for you. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Carolina's Dainty Design, also on Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube for more videos every week. See you later.
Was that you living in someone else's dreams?
Wow, what a great video we just watched. I feel so smart now.